Okay, so now we're ready to review today's RTL. Your RTL is the first page of your daily packet for today. So at the top of your RTL, you'll notice that same graphic organizer from yesterday, the CRAP graphic organizer. The CRAP graphic organizer includes all of the notes that we just put on the board together. Underneath the CRAP graphic organizer is your RTL for today. Okay, you've got 2 questions. I'm actually going to bold them for you guys. You've got 2 questions based on scenarios that we asked you to answer. You were to answer both of these questions using the CRAP method. So now we're going to go over these 2 RTL prompts, and let's see how you guys did using the CRAP method. Here we go. Okay, so prompt 1 for the RTL. Michael Barbaro is a very famous reporter who works at the New York Times. Barbaro is most famous for his podcast. On his podcast, Barbaro interviews experts from different fields. Recently, he interviewed scientists from the World Health Organization, the WHO. The WHO is a large organization made up of scientists from all over the world. Barbaro's interviews get published on NewYorkTimes.com. Are Barbaro's articles and podcasts trustworthy? Why or why not? So what I want you to do now is go back to your RTL, the top of the page where you had your CRAP graphic organizer. In your head right now, or even out loud, read your response and make sure that you use the specific steps in CRAP, the specific language of CRAP, to answer the questions at the end of the RTL. Are Barbaro's articles and podcasts trustworthy? Why or why not? Pause the video while you think about your own response. Read your response out loud. Okay, so at this point, you should have given yourself time to think about your own response and to make sure that you were using the steps of CRAP when answering the RTL question. You probably got, you should have got that Barbaro's interviews should be trusted. They are trustworthy because his sources, his interviews, meet the test for reliability. Barbaro's articles and podcasts are full of quotes from a professional in a relevant field. Because his interviews are just quotes from professionals in relevant fields, we can definitely say that his articles and his podcasts meet the test for reliability. You could have also said that his interviews meet the tests of authority. Barbaro works for the New York Times, which is a .com. Usually, .coms cannot be trusted. However, if a .com is from a major news site like the New York Times, then it can be trusted. So because Barbaro's articles are published on a website with a good reputation, his articles can be trusted. So source 1 does pass the CRAP test, meaning it is trustworthy. Now let's go to source 2. Source 2. Adam oops, there's a typo there. Sorry, guys. So you know what, just like in real life, Not going to redo. There we go. Okay. Adam started a blog about his experience in quarantine during coronavirus. He is very passionate about stopping the spread of coronavirus because he recently learned that his parents have the coronavirus. On his blog, Aram includes interesting websites or videos about the coronavirus. He updates his blog weekly. Is Adam's blog trustworthy? Why or why not? Pause the video now. Go back to your graphic organizers on the first page on your RTL page and double check with yourself. Is Aram's blog trustworthy? Why or why not? Use the language of crap in your response. Okay, so this one might have been tricky because you probably noticed in the prompt it mentions that Adam updates his blog weekly. If he's updating his blog weekly, his information is current. And so Adam's blog does pass the test for currency. In order for a source to be current, it must have been created recently. The fact that Adam updates his blog every week makes his source current. However, Adam's blog does not pass the test for authority. Blogs are always .coms. .coms can be used for any website. Anyone can have a .com. You cannot automatically trust it. We don't know if Adam actually knows what he is talking about. So because Adam's blog is a .com, it doesn't pass the test for authority. We can't really say that Adam's blog passes the test for reliability of information either. We don't know whether the quality of information on Adam's blog is high. We don't know if he has good quality information. He might include accurate statistics or facts. He might not. He probably does not have quotes from professionals in relevant fields in his blog posts because he's most likely not interviewing scientists from the WHO the way a reporter would. Although Adam is directly impacted by the topic of coronavirus, we cannot tell whether Adam's blog has other types of information that make his blog reliable. Overall, the quality of his information cannot be considered reliable. In order for an article to be considered a reliable source, it should have all three of these types of information, or at least 2 out of the 3. For that reason, source number 2, Adam's blog, cannot really be considered trustworthy. If you were to compare these 2 sources, source 1 and source 2, which one do you think you should use for research and why? Pause the video now and answer that question. You should answer that question at the top of the second page of your daily packet. So again, the question is, if you were doing research, which one of these sources from the RTL would you have chosen to use? Why? Pause the video now and answer that question. Okay, guys. So at this point, you should have finished answering the mini lesson question. At this point, we're going to move on to the project directions. So for this project, you probably noticed that there are 2 documents attached. That is because you have two choices for this project. So if you don't like the first choice for the project, you can pick the other choice. Whichever one you prefer, that's the one that you may do. So I'd like everyone to please open the document called it's called PSA Project Documents. Open up on Google Classroom where it says PSA Project Documents. If you need to split your screen like I showed you yesterday so that this video is playing on one side and the PSA Project Documents are displayed on the other, that's great. Okay, so it will look like this. If you need to pause the video while you get this document up and running, that's fine. Just pause the video now. If you have the PSA project documents up and ready to go, we're going to move forward. So I'm going to start just by reading from the top of the COVID-19 PSA project directions. PSA stands, and I'm going to highlight the first paragraph I'm on so that nobody is lost. Here we go. PSA stands for Public Service Announcement. A public service announcement is an advertisement that a government will create to make people aware of an issue. The government will get these messages out through commercials, posters, videos, or any other form of advertisement. Public service announcements come in a variety of forms, but they all do the following things. They catch people's attention through visuals that shock people into caring about the problem. PSAs share information, for example, statistics, meaning numbers, about a problem. And third, PSAs explain what people can do to stop the problem. These are some examples of PSAs. So in this one, this PSA, it shares a lot of information about domestic violence. These two, they play more on catching people's attention through visuals that shock people into caring. This one also explains in the top left corner what people can do to try to stop the problem of domestic violence. So PSAs come in a variety of forms, but this is always the three things. These are the goals of PSAs. So your task, go to where it says task in giant letters. It's also highlighted on the screen. Your task is to create a PSA warning people about coronavirus that could be hung around your neighborhood. The assignment has 3 steps, and this is similar. Both projects have 3 steps. We are going to work on step 1, which is research, today. So step 1 is to do research. Step 2 is to do an interview. That will be the focus of Thursday's lesson. And step 3 is to create your actual PSA. We're not going to worry about step 2 or step 3 today. We're only going to worry about step 1. I'm going to explain to you guys what you do for step 1 in a moment. But first, I want to go over the project description for the other option. So go back to Google Classroom and find the document called Community Action Plan Documents. It will look like this. Once you've found yourself on this page, you can either pause the video and read through independently, or you can listen to me read the project description. Here we go. You are living through history right now. Before the COVID-19 outbreak, the American government has only once closed schools to prevent the spread of a virus. Closing schools is extremely unusual and tells us how serious this virus truly is. The spread of COVID-19 has shown us that disease can bring fear and uncertainty to every community. This global health crisis has also shown us how quickly individuals will come together to protect the health and safety of their friends, families, and communities. In this project, you will develop an action plan that your household or school community should follow to stop the spread of coronavirus and decrease fear around the disease. This project has 3 steps. So you've hopefully noticed that both projects have the same steps. Step 1 is research. Step 2 for both projects is that interview, which we will go over on Thursday. I don't want you to worry about it right now. And step 3 is the community action plan. An action plan is exactly what it sounds like. It's a plan to address a plan of specific actions individuals should take to address a problem. So people who decide you want to make a community action plan, your end goal is to fill out this template at the end of the document. For now, I don't want you to really worry about filling in this template because we are all on step 1, which is doing research. In both documents, you can scroll to page 2 to find step 1. Each step of the project, step 1, step 2, and step 3, each step of the project has a separate grade. So in order to score the highest possible on this project, you need to complete all 3 steps of the project. In other words, if you fail to complete 1 step, that's automatically going to result in 10 points off your final project grade. Okay? So if at the end, the project is worth 30 points and you only do steps 2 and 3, you don't do this first step, step 1, the research graphic organizer, the maximum score you can get is a 20 out of 30. So let's go over step 1 because this step 1 is the focus of both today and tomorrow. Step 1 is your research graphic organizer. Go to the top. Go to the top where I've highlighted text to find the information, the directions, excuse me. Using the COVID-19 resources page attached to the assignment post, complete the following research graphic organizer. You must complete 4 articles to move on to the next step. So the resources, the COVID-19 resources page has actually been copied for you into the second page of your daily packet. This is the COVID-19 resources page. We are asking you to do research for this project. However, you do not need to find the sources on your own because I have provided sources for you. You will notice in this document that each source is included in the document. There's a link to the source, and there's also a description of each source next to the link. Sources are broken into 4 categories. So category 1 sources answer these 2 questions. What is COVID-19? How does it spread? Category 2 resources answer this question. What are the effects of COVID-19 on human health? So these sources are not only explained for you, I not only provided an explanation, but we broke them into different categories depending on the question you're trying to figure out. So that should help you in terms of organization. Your job is to, using these resources, complete step 1, which is your research graphic organizer. In order to complete step 1, your research graphic organizer, you must read 4 articles. Each article gets its own row in the research graphic organizer. So let's say, for example, I'm reading an article called "The Effects of COVID-19." I'm going to write the name of the article in this first column where it says name of source / author. I'm also going to write the author's name. Let's just say the author is me because I'm making this up. It's not a real article. Next, I'm going to find the date published. I'm just going to write today because, again, this is not a real article. In that third column, I'm going to answer this question. Is this source trustworthy? How do you know? I should be using the CRAP method when answering that question. You had practice using CRAP to explain whether a source is trustworthy yesterday. You should be using it today. In this last column, for one article, you are answering these two questions. So what is one main idea or argument presented in this source? Let's say the argument in the source is everyone should be in quarantine. Okay. I'm going to write, if I were you, I would be writing a little bit more, obviously, but this is just an example. And then the second question is not actually a question, but it helps you keep track of the information you're trying to gather. List at least 2 facts or quotes from this source which support this idea. So I would find a quote in my article and I would put the quote, I would place the quote here. Okay, so your summary would go in that first part of that main ideas / evidence column. And then your evidence goes in that second row within the main ideas evidence column. Okay. You must complete the research graphic organizer for 4 articles. Remember, each article gets its own row. So this highlighted area, this row, this highlighted area, this row is one article. Another article is going to be in the next row. An entirely different article is going to be in the next row. You have to complete 4 articles, so all 4 rows, in order to get 100 on step 1, your research graphic organizer. Please make sure to reach out with questions or concerns or come to office hours if you're confused about directions. Also make sure, and this was something I spoke with about for those of you who attended office hours yesterday, thank you for participating. That was fantastic. Before coming to office hours, because office hours doesn't mean a live lesson. Office hours just means extra help. So before coming to office hours, please make sure that you have watched this video, okay? Moving forward, like tomorrow, make sure you watch the pre-recorded video before attending office hours, okay? Hope to see you there. Reach out via text if you have any questions at all. Thanks, guys.